Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on Viewpoint on DBS Television. Today it is the midweek edition. I hope that you are back again to have a few moments with us concerning issues plaguing the society. That is the coronavirus pandemic that has in one way or the other affected school resumption in the entire globe. And talking with us tonight, we are having a teacher who is more experienced in the field, and of course we are having Mange Venashus. We are talking of Allah Francis Azanui. He is a teacher from the Sacred Heart College. Good evening to you, Francis, and thank you very much for coming.
Good evening, Vanessa, and thanks for welcoming me.
Mange Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers.
Let us take the first part of the show, that is the yes and no question and answer. In the first question, can we convince parents that students are sufficiently prepared for end-of-year exams? I begin with you, Francis. Yes or no?
I can say that with certainty.
With certainty that parents are convinced. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa.
No. Question 2. Is the recent action by the mayor of Boya an asset to solving the Anglophone crisis? Mange Venashus?
No.
No. And to you, Francis?
No.
No. And our last question for tonight, is there a possibility for COVID-19 resurgence in our society following the World Health Organization warnings? I begin with you, Francis.
Yes, in the lines of WHO.
Yes. Mange Venashus?
Yes, Vanessa.
Yes, there is. Coming up next, let us take the debate. Stay tuned. I begin with you, Mr. Francis. Once more, you are welcome. You think that parents, and you affirm with certainty that parents are sufficiently prepared for, or they are convinced that their children are sufficiently prepared for official exams. Due to begin, you said Monday in our background discussion next week.
Yes. I said that students are well prepared, and I can assure the parents that as a teacher who I am, parents should be rest assured that their children have been well prepared and ready for the examinations come July 20th. They are beginning with the practicals, and then on the 6th of August they are beginning with the theory. Now all of us, we know that the school year runs from September to June. That's 9 months. And now we are in July, which is the 11th month, which means that this year is a special year. The students have to prepare for the exams for up to 11 months. Before the outbreak of the coronavirus and the lockdown, any conscious teacher who has been doing his work very well must have covered at least 80 or 90% of the work. Because when the government announced that school should close down, it was just 1 week left for the second term holiday to begin. So all second term examinations have been written and report cards prepared, like in my school. We had handed in our report cards for signing before that news came that school should close down. That's why parents could not come and collect the report cards, because people were not asked to be in groupings. That's why the report cards were suspended. And now coming back, and we know that third term is just 6 weeks. We have come now, we are going in now. This should be the 7th week already. We are finished all of June, and we are in July. So it means that the students are sufficiently prepared. I, for one, have covered all my syllabus. I teach philosophy. I've completed everything in my school, my colleague. And I'm going to school now just for revision. Last minute revision, question interpretations, and the rest. So the students are very prepared.
Some parents expressed worry that like the morals of the children when this virus started, this pandemic started, they thought that no, maybe the school year has come to an end. Has it not affected their morals, their spirit of like sitting in for the exams?
Vanessa, I can assure you that really some students, you know, there are some casual students who sometimes they go to school just because others are going. But any conscious student who has been going to school and is focused, he knows what he wishes to attain at the end of the year. No matter what comes, he cannot be destabilized.
Okay.
I know that the outbreak of the coronavirus would have destabilized some of them, bring down their morals. But then, when it was announced that school should resume, students were very anxious to go back. Those conscious ones, they were anxious to go back. And now they are feeling bored again that they have prolonged the time again. So you see, like what I'm observing in school, students are exhausted. They feel like they are giving them much time again, and their knowledge is kind of fading away again.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would have asked them to write the exam immediately after 1 month, when they came back, they would have been very happy. Yes.
Thank you very much for your point of view, Francis. Mangavenashus, just listening to Francis right away as a teacher who is confronted with these students, with parents almost every day. Are you still convinced that parents think that their children are not sufficiently prepared for these exams?
It's not a question of being convinced, but the fact is, when you look at the circumstances within which these students are exposed to, when I listened to the teacher speaking, he was speaking from a normal situation, you know, a standard situation. But when you look at the age of the students that we have, when you look at you know, yesteryears when we were in school, such a situation where students had no problem was possible. But now we have children who are writing exams. To them, a little thing like that gets them destabilized, normally, psychologically speaking. You know, the conditions in which they are going to write, you are supposed to sit alone, have 1 meter distance. If at all, these conditions are to be respected, because they are writing with a backdrop, with this background knowledge that we are within the era of coronavirus. We need to safeguard the way we see, the way we interact. That normal, you know, that normal atmosphere in exams where people use immediately after school, after paper, you sit together, revise, try to group in groups, rehearse, yes, share knowledge. If it is not the case now, then we should also put it in another way that the barrier measures are not being respected in schools. Because if they are respected as they are supposed to be respected, group works are limited. Because I don't know a group that we can study within 1 minute, 1 meter, and we sit and study.
It's possible. Okay. It's possible for the students after maybe paper 1, they go out and they respect the various barrier measures to revise.
A teacher told us here completely that students they have no break within this period, because you come, you sit, you write, and you sit, study, and you go home, because they want to limit movement so that you don't take the virus from here or to that bench, or take it from that bench to this bench. There are no breaks as such, so as to limit all such. What disturbs me is just the psychological aspect of the students. Are they really up to the task to know that they are going to write? You know, there are students, when you leave the house, others are at home, you have it that schools we are just doing this one to catch up, you know, just to patch up, because they know that there is something wrong somewhere. And to me, I see that destabilizing them in one way, and I feel that it will have an impact on their on the results. Take, for example, the French subsystem of education, their entrance into secondary school, the results were catastrophic. If we follow the logic of the teacher, it means by March, those teachers in the primary school too would have at least covered more than 50%. Let's come down to as much as 50%. And now they have been in school for practically 1 month, 1 week. Now, to write the entrance into Form 1, the results were very, very poor. It is not something that we are.
So, are you attributing it to the coronavirus?
To the effect of this lockdown, school resuming, others being at home, and all this playing with the children, with their minds, because they automatically know that they are not operating within the normal circumstances. So that's why I was thinking that it may be a flow from what we had with this entrance into secondary school, with the other examination, end of year certificate exams, if we are not careful, we may have poor results this year because of it. So that's why I think that students are not, well prepared psychologically for end of year exams.
All right, thank you for your viewpoint as well. Question 2 is the recent action by the mayor of Buea an asset to solving the Anglophone crisis. Francis, the recent action we are talking here on Monday, where the mayor actually came out on Monday, where it's like considered as ghost town in the northwest and the southwest region, forcing shop owners or forcing activities or other businesses to reopen, and some newspapers even talked about it, likening it to the reign of the former mayor. And you think that it is a no way or a no, it's not a go ahead to solving the Anglophone crisis?
Yes, in my observation, I think that the action taken by the present mayor, Mayor David, is not the best. He is following in the footsteps of the former mayor, Mayor Ekema. He tried that measure and still failed. And if his successor has come up and is trying to follow the same line, I think that the administration of that municipality is running out of ideas. There are so many ideas. You must not operate only on one idea. Or as an administrator, when you have taken over office, you must not continue with the ideas of the person you succeeded. That's not the best. I think it is pushing the population of this municipality to be more, how can I put it?
More rebellious.
To be more rebellious than actually coming out of a situation in which they find themselves. Because he is not going there alone. Just look at the mayor. If you look at those newspapers and even watch at the news, you see that the mayor has been accompanied by police and gendarmes and with a divisional officer. Those are administrators in Buea. Well guarded. He is going there to go and lock shops, just to go and lock. And he is well protected with arms. And then he is forcing these shop owners, these traders, to go with their bare bodies and go and open their shops and sit there and sell when they have been asked by the separatist fighters not to do so. Tomorrow, or if we see as it has been happening, any of those shops are burnt, will the mayor come in there to sit for them or to help them, to lend a helping hand? How many shops have been burnt? Those that did not even respect the ghost towns and they were burnt, have they been compensated? Even if they give compensation, how much? How much compensation has been given? So the mayor should put on his thinking cap, a new thinking cap, and take a different direction than using the same measure which was used by Mayor Ekema. And we know the end result. He was hated by the population he was ruling. So to rule people means that you should work hand in hand with them. You should not be ruling them with a hammer. You must do this, you must do this.
With an iron fist.
Today I listened to him speaking over the news. And he was saying that there are so many laws. I think he's a man of law. And that council also have their own laws. And that when those laws have been given, they are binding. He equally forgets to know that any law which is void of reasoning is not a law. If you give out any law and that law, it has no reasoning, that does not make any law.
That does not make any law.
It does not make any law. So if I am the mayor of Buea, who he is now, since separatist fighters have declared Mondays as ghost town, I will transfer Sunday, which is a normal on-working day, that those traders should instead be selling on Sundays and leave out on Monday and work in that line, rather than going and forcing them again that they should do this. They are already stressed up. How can their mayor, who is like their father, come to add more stress to people who are already stressed up?
They are stressed stressed up and confused equally on who to respect, because they are confronted between two fronts. Are we going to respect the mayor's order and maybe be killed along the way, or are we going to disrespect the separatist fighters and be killed still in that act? Mange Venashus, you are reasoning in the same line with Ala Francis.
Yes, Vanessa, I think we've gone about getting to 4 years. By October, we'll be talking about 4 years of this crisis that has been going on. And I have the impression that our leaders have failed to understand that you cannot use force in every situation. There are situations that you can negotiate, and the word negotiation or dialogue has been, has been used in this very crisis in almost all spheres. And we have the impression that our leaders think that we can use force. This crisis, the immediate cause of this crisis was the impression that we can force them to do this. When the meeting that was taking place in Upstation Bamenda failed, the impression of the three ministers who were there was we will force them to do this. The second action was we are going to outlaw the consortium and arrest them. And when we did that, it brought us to where we are. Now, the mayor in Boya, I don't know whether he was living in Boya before then. Now, even if he was out of Boya, he got what was happening in Boya. And if the former mayor tried the use of force and did not succeed, I don't think that he is falling from sky to think that he would come this time, use force and succeed. Because the call, to work on Mondays or disrespect ghost towns on Monday is not only in Boya, it is in the two regions. And I don't think that he will come up in Boya. He will not effect any change if Boya municipality, Boya subdivision alone works on Monday. Would it have an effect in Limbe? Would it have an effect in Kumba? Would it have an effect in other subdivisions, even of the southwest regions? So I think that he should not push the people to the, to extremes. What he is doing is he is instead antagonizing the people, because something they had tried and it did not go. They are burning all these shops and nothing is happening. So if he is going back to that old method, then I think that he has failed to learn from his predecessors. Because his predecessors, they always say, you use the history, we study history to program the future, to plan the future. We should not take the same path where people failed and we think that we are going to succeed, unless he is another human being out of the ordinary. Because this crisis where it is, there is no way we can use force. The state has used force for 3 years now. Use the military with force for 3 years now. We are not succeeding. People have been dying. We are not succeeding. So the man should not deceive himself that when he seals those shops. And when I listened to, when I saw some of the images, the sealed that were imposed on these shops, he says, if anybody who tampers on them, you would be you're exposed to about 2 years of imprisonment with some fine. And even when for the seals to be broken, you need to pay some fines in the council.
Yes.
Once those fines are once you pay, you would have to wait for the council officials to come and unseal your shop. I think that some administrators are using this crisis to enrich themselves illegally. Is that not corruption? Is it that you go and then create an act? Which law says that somebody, can I decide, I pay taxes, I think I have the right to decide not to open my shop today. I have the right to close, not to sell. Yes. And when I decide that I am not selling, it means they will come and seal it, and then I pay a fine. The fine that I'm paying, what is the fine I'm paying? How do you call it? Which part of the law asks for such a fine? If the council made use of laws, then I think that we are already moving to a situation where we are going to also seal homes of those who left the regions, those who ran away from their homes. We will seal them too and ask them to come and pay fines because they respected the separatist call. Because the separatists asked them to leave. And they respected and went away.
Because even to go to your farms is difficult.
Of course, it's difficult. So I think the mayor should also prepare another large extended mission where he would go down to his municipality. Any home that is abandoned, he will seal it so that they come and pay fine and he opens it. And then he should be ready to give an account of the money he is collecting, because that was not part of the budget of the council. Except he's telling us that the council budgeted to seal shops and they pay fines and then they use. He should be able to account for it at the end of the year to tell us that we collected this amount, we used this amount this way. If not, I think that CONAC should be listening to this, and CONAC should be prepared to investigate what is happening, because, like we keep on saying, there are some officials both in the government as well as in the separatist camps that do not want this crisis to end. Because if it ends, where would the DO take Mondays to be sealing shops so that they come and how many shops were sealed? How much are they supposed to pay? Put it like that throughout the subdivision. How much money would he be making every Monday? So I think that our authorities need to sit. This crisis cannot be solved with force. We need dialogue, and dialogue is not only in Yaoundé. He should show proof of the fact that we can also dialogue with our citizens within our municipality. If we keep talking of decentralization, unless it does not make sense to the very administrators who want to promote this issue of decentralization, Vanessa.
All right, let us take our last question for tonight. You are watching A Viewpoint on DBS Television, brought to you every day from 7 p.m. Mondays to Friday. Is there a possibility for COVID-19 resurgence in our society following the World Health Organization warnings? And Francis, you think that yes, there is a possibility? It's no news again that the Director General of this organization has been warning and warning. This is over almost the fourth time that he is warning that countries should brace up for this pandemic, because they have discovered, or they have watched, or they have observed that they are not respecting precautionary measures.
He's right. Africans in our society, we have not been observing the precautionary measures given by World Health Organization to curb down the spread of this virus. If we could go down memory lane, we see that Africa in particular has suffered a lot with the outbreak of viruses in the world. If you look at the outbreak of the Ebola virus, many people in Africa died. If you look at HIV,
hepatitis,
it is the seat of, the seat is Africa. Then what more of coronavirus? Simple measures have been given, and they are very simple to observe. But when they see the way people are behaving, the interaction in our society, in our milieu, it does not show. It seems people have even forgotten about it. And some people even dare say coronavirus does not exist, that it is not in Africa, or that the Africans are resistant to coronavirus. Although we keep hearing figures are rising every day. Figures are rising. And the number of deaths, both those who have the virus and those who don't, who are dying, they are rising. They are not on a decline. All are
on an increase.
They are on an increase. When you go to our markets, people keep giving the debate that if there was coronavirus, or they bring up the argument that if there was coronavirus, then our markets should be closed. Our markets should be closed down. Bars should be closed down. I think that is not what is going to help you, that you should run away from a danger that is facing you. You already know that this is real. Why should you wait that somebody should come with a whip running after you, that run? I think if there's anybody among us who knows that something is coming dangerous, that is coming to harm or kill you, you'll be standing and waiting that the thing should come and meet you before you run. That person is not a normal thinking person. So Africans, especially Cameroonians, they are of that nature. When the police were moving around, arresting people who were not putting on their face mask and the rest, everybody was with a face mask. But now that they have relaxed, go around the streets. You can pinpoint the number of people who are having face masks.
Probably boiling to the fact that the World Health Organization is warning that there might be a second resurgence. Thank you very much, Francis. Mange Venasius, you think that we are heading towards that?
we are heading towards a certain Vanessa, because when you look at it, Mr. Allah was talking about what people are doing. I look at what governments are doing. Practically after 2 months of presumed lockdown that we had in Cameroon, I say presumed, because only churches and schools were locked down.
Yes.
I don't know whether Marché Central here in Douala has ever been closed. They closed it maybe on Thursdays and said they want to
sanitize.
Yes, yes. After spraying the market, the next day people are in the market, whereas the government has been insisting on not more than 50 gathering. That should give that what the people we have in Douala in the market should be around 3, 4, 5, or 6 markets. If we are talking about 50, what is even 6? More than 10 markets to contain those 50, because people are not aware of the fact that the virus even exists. And when I say aware, they are not convinced. Now, when you look at the way governments are doing, why are we going back to school? Is it that we are afraid that children will become dull than living? Why are we opening up the economy? Is it that we are afraid that the economy will crumble and we prefer that economy should grow and people die? If the government, not only in Cameroon, because there's this lockdown easing is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Whereas we don't have any sufficient vaccine, any proven vaccine for the virus as well. And if economies are opening up, it means nothing existed. Or we have said coronavirus no longer affects people. Because if it was, I always insist on saying that we would have installed the fear that we had when this virus began around February and early March. We would have insisted on it. Everywhere should be locked. Why are we opening up our borders when coronavirus is still there? We don't have a legalized vaccine already. The numbers keep climbing, yet we are opening up. What are we telling the world? So I think that the warning from the World Health Organization is timely and is telling us that we may be heading towards another resurgence of the virus, because we have not accepted. Our response plan are not effective. We are not convinced that the virus exists. And then with what we are doing, we may be bouncing back. And some countries, some cities in Europe are already experiencing a second wave of infection, which means it may bounce back. And I think that God has been so kind with Africa. Put the total number of infected persons in Africa, they are not up to one country. Take for example America. So I think that Africans should thank God for what they have, because when you abuse such grace, God may not favor us in the next wave if it comes. So I think that we should be conscious and know that we are facing very critical, virus that we don't even yet know the cure.
Thank you very much, Mange Venashus, for coming. And to you, Ala Francis Azanyi, thank you also.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind and keen attention. It has been a pleasure having you for about 30 minutes. Tomorrow we will be back again, God willing, but do not forget that it's very important that you protect yourself in order to protect your community. Do have a blessed night in the company of programs on DBS Television. Bye-bye.